Good morning, afternoon, or night, my fellow cakes, and welcome to my first ever YouTube video. First, I'm going to go over a little bit about me and what this channel is going to be about. My name is Kira, Yellowcake. I'm a 26-year-old trans woman, and I'm a huge fan of anime and horror movies. I also watch a good amount of kid shows as well. So, I'm planning on making a commentary type videos, like this one, on Tuesdays. And then on Mondays, I'll be uploading separate videos documenting my transition for those that are interested. This is my first video, obviously, so I want to go over both because I already missed Monday, and just to kind of, let people know where I'm already at in that. I also have a Twitch, so if anyone else is interested in seeing, me playing video games, I'll leave a link in the description. I'm also very willing to hear all of your opinions and your suggestions for future videos, including other things besides just anime or horror movies or my transitions. So make sure you, drop some comments down below to, let me know what kind of content you'd like to see. Now that I've given you a short rundown, I'm going to shift to my main focus of the video for today. I'm going to be talking about one of my favorite shows in general, Dororo, and some of the problems I believe that the studio made when they finalized the show and just some of the decisions that they decided to take. Warning, there's going to be lots of spoilers ahead, so if you haven't finished or even started the show, what are you doing? Go watch it for your own sake, because it's really good in my opinion. Anyway, let's start off with some background. So, Dororo came out this year, 2019. It's based off of Dororo, 1969, a manga and an anime. The anime was created by Osamu Tezuka, who is better known for creating Astro Boy, and is commonly called the godfather of anime. Interestingly enough, this version, the 1969 version, was in black and white because of having a lower budget, which I find kind of crazy because of the fact that, you look at how he's idolized now, and back then, it almost seems like, they kind of didn't want to give him the money because they didn't really trust him, and now he's regarded as the godfather of anime. So, the show's main premise is about a character named Hakimaru. His father, Diego, sacrificed him when he was just a baby to 48 demons in the manga in the original 1969 version. In the 2019 version, I believe they cut it down to 12 demons? Anyway, so he did that to make his land prosper. In return, the demons took various body parts of Hakimaru. So he's this baby and, he's born with no skin, no eyes, limbs, ears, he can't talk, and but he's somehow still alive. Fast forward a little bit, I'm not going to go into every detail about this. Now he's like a young adult, and he has prosthetics, like legs, arms, he has fake skin, he's like wearing a mask, and under his prosthetic arms they can detach, and he has 2 swords in place of them. So now he's out there killing demons, and each time he kills a demon, he gets one of his body parts back. We're also quickly introduced to Dororo, Hakimaru's traveling partner. Right away, this is where some of my first issues that I have with this show are, but I'll be addressing why those are my issues right away later on. So we're introduced to Dororo, and he's this orphan who is running a scam, trying to survive on his own. And the adults who are chasing him down and beating on him end up getting killed by this giant, muck trash monster. So Dororo watches Hakimaru defeat this demon, and then he gets his skin back. And when he gets this, his mask falls down. Dororo sees it grow back. Obviously, he's like, whoa, I've never seen anything like that. Who has? So he just kind of decides to follow him around, even though Hakimaru has almost no way to interact back. But Hakimaru is accepting of Dororo. They mention it a couple times in the show that even though he can't, directly communicate, he's allowing him to be around him. So he's aware of him and enjoys his presence. the show kind of ends up getting a episodic type of formula for a little while. Where it's like a demon is attacking this village or, doing something wrong. Then they arrive, there's some conflict, but ultimately Hakimaru ends up killing the demon and gets a body part back. Which, I enjoyed that because it kind of kept it simplistic still, while also they were bringing small parts of the story here and there. So that way you're not bombarded with overwhelming amounts of story, which some shows can do. Which, being an anime fan, you definitely know what I'm talking about. But one of my favorite parts about this show is they constantly have this burning question of what makes you human? As Hakimaru keeps on getting more and more of his body parts back, henceforth making him more physically human, him and Dororo are exposed to the horrors not only of just demons, but of what humanity in war can do to people, and it kind of takes a dark turn because he's getting more and more human, but he's really becoming more of a demon himself from all this type of trauma. And I should have mentioned earlier that this show takes place during the Sengoku period. Mind you, my pronunciation on some Japanese words isn't the greatest, but I am trying to work on that. So anyway, it was during the Sengoku period, which is also commonly known as the Japan's Warring States period. It's kind of where land was under constant wars by different numerous shoguns. So really, in the show, it's a dark time for everyone, which they don't hide that right off the bat. It's dark, people are starving, and no holds barred type of show. I mean, obviously there's worse ones out there, but I still like the kind of realism they had with it. So anyway, there's an episode where we end up seeing that Dororo is sick. So this old lady helps him recover, and then she makes a comment of something along the lines of, it must be so hard to travel with such a young girl. Which now, this is where we get told that Dororo is born with female sex organs. To which Dororo is very concerned, noticing that his clothes are clean. So he ends up, worrying that this old lady told Hakimaru. I think Hakimaru just got his hearing back at this point. He didn't really get speech yet. Obviously he just got it back. That's like a baby learning speech and just picking it up instantly. But nonetheless, he was worried that Hakimaru would know. Which, honestly, this is where I start to believe where I think it's Mappa is the studio that created this, started to make some errors. Because Dororo was obviously showing concern, and Hakimaru doesn't just seem like a type of character that discriminates something like gender. If Dororo was gonna go with their assigned birth gender, then I don't think Hakimaru would care either way. So the show makes it pretty important that Dororo does care in a way that's more than just, being a young girl in this dark time where it's dangerous. Because, again, Hakimaru is the only person that he can trust. So if that's the case, I think it's something deeper. And the studio definitely kind of led towards that. At least when I viewed it both times, that's how I felt. So, which by the way, watching it again, there's a lot of foreshadowing, which is really cool. I mean, every show does that, but it's cool to pick up on it. But, so later on, we start to learn about his own tragic backstory, and how there's a map tattooed on his back that's activated when he, when it's, like, heated up. So, if you're, like, taking a steam, or laying down next to a fire. So, these scumbags that ended up making Dororo's own tragic backstory, because he has a very tragic backstory as well. Anyway, they end up, like, kidnapping him, and they strip him down, and they also discover not only the map, but Dororo's birth gender. So, the guy starts questioning of well, why did the father and mother raise him to be a boy? Which means even before his parents got killed, he was identifying as male. And I'm pretty sure he was still old enough to speak at this point. So that's already what he was comfortable with identifying. Unless his parents were psychic and knew they were going to die, the whole argument of it's safer in that time period, in my opinion, doesn't really apply there. And it's a tired trope we've seen all the time. Because trans characters don't get enough representation in media as it is. And when they do, a lot of the time, they're just kind of cast aside as, like, joke material or, the common, like, it's just really a cross-dresser, which, again, there's nothing wrong with that, but they're two very different things. So, seeing a show that leads you up continuously, that one of their main characters, the character whose name is what the show's name is, they shouldn't have decided to go the path that they did. Because after this scene, you see Dororo's laying in the fetal position, crying. Obviously it's because that map leads to a treasure that, his family ended up hiding, I think his father. But it was more than that. And, coming from, I could be biased because, I'm trans myself. But just seeing the way that he was in the fetal position crying about it, still showing the map, what do you think if that was the case of why he was upset, he'd be trying to cover that. But he was covering himself like this, which to me means that he didn't want people to know about his genitalia because he doesn't identify with them. I mean, if I was in his position, I would totally have done the same thing. So now I'm going to go on to a Tumblr and another page called, I think, Fanbite, which I'm going to put both of their links down below. So if you want to read it, they probably do a better job at explaining it than me. But I didn't see they have a video, so I'm going to do this. So first I'm on the Tumblr, which they have some screenshots of the original manga. Where originally in the manga, they don't hint towards it like they did in this show. It's just kind of a surprise thing at the end. So when I believe his name is Ichigo ends up capturing Dororo, he says something about, I didn't know your father raised you as a boy. And Dororo responds very adamantly, I am a boy. There's nothing wrong with me. And then there's multiple other instances of this. Maybe your mom didn't tell you you're a girl, so you grow up to be tough. This is Hakimaru talking to Dororo, which Dororo responded, shut up, I'm no girl. So, multiple times in this manga, you can see that he's defending himself, that he's a boy. But it just keeps on getting cast aside, by specifically Hakimaru, so, which is, strange, but also it was canceled, so, a bit of it was rushed. But there's never any point in the manga or in either anime where Dororo's like, you know what? I am a girl. Never happens. And I know you can argue that, I believe it's the ending sequence of the second half of the show. You see Dororo's hair keep on getting longer and longer. And then the common argument you see online right now is that the very ending scene, they show Dororo and, he's grown up, he has long hair and a ponytail. Oh, excuse me. Which almost every single adult character in that show has long hair. So that argument doesn't really make sense. I mean, I can see where people can argue with that, and I definitely think it's what the studio was trying to go for, which is upsetting because, yet again, the whole representation thing. But also, to play devil's advocate with that, it's never said, so that's just what is implied. I mean, obviously there was no HRT back then, so you can't stop, some of the things that happens with your body. Still, though, I'm not convinced that at that ending, it was implied that Dororo is a girl. At least not to me. They're still a boy, in my opinion. And, now I'm going to take the perspective from the Fanbite page I was just talking about, which, it's kind of funny looking at this because this is before the second half came out. It's only the first half. And they talk about how well the studio was actually handling him being trans, which, you know, I didn't really realize a lot of that until reading this, of how they did throw it in subtly here and there and making it feel like natural. So as they go on talking about this, which, like I said, their link will be down below. There's a lot to it, so I'm not going to go over everything. What was it? Oh, yeah, they're talking about how this is more of an adaptation than a complete remake, because they do take some changes in there, which is good, you know, to update things, at least in my opinion. So, again, they're just kind of talking about how in the original manga, Dororo is very adamant about not being a girl. And, you know, about Akimaru just kind of being a jerk about it. Anyway, so that's my rant about Dororo. I still will fight you saying that Dororo is trans. You're entitled to your opinion. Enjoy the show regardless. It's a great show. And if you felt uncomfortable like I did about it, you know, maybe leave a comment, talk about it. Or let me know why you think the counter argument. And again, I can see why, with how the studio kind of portrayed that ending with what they were implying. But again, it's never directly said. And to make me feel like I can still be okay with the show, I have to look at it in my own way. So that is pretty much what I'm going to be doing for my future videos, is just kind of talking about things, different shows. I was thinking about my next video either doing another anime or doing a horror movie. So, you know, let me know down below. Once I figure out that Patreon website, I saw they have polls on it. So I'm going to add the link to that in the description below as well. And you can click on that once I figure out how to do this polls thing. Then maybe you guys can actually vote for what my next video will be. But my next one, I'm going to either do Darling in the Franxx review, which I personally enjoyed it immensely. Or I was going to do a review of that Sony horror movie, Brightburn, which if you haven't seen the trailers, it looks really cool. It's about, like, an evil superhero type deal. So I'm interested with that, with, you know, how popular the superhero genre has become now. Watching it become like a horror movie just seems really interesting to me. So I'm going to end this video, like I said way earlier. I'm going to talk a little bit about my most recent update with my transition. So I've been on hormones for 3 months currently. I was on them before for either 3 or 6 months. Honestly, I can't remember. But I had a lapse in insurance. Anyway, I've been back on them for 3 months now. I've been openly trans for over a year now. And I just got my dose upped when I went to the doctors, which is great news. So I always say the anti-androgen wrong, but it's a Spiro that just got up from 100 milligrams to 200 milligrams a day. And then my estradiol, instead of being a 1 milligram dose in the morning and night, it's a 2 milligram dose morning and night. So super exciting for that progress. And I also will throw in the YouTube channel for, I believe it's called Trans Voice Lessons. Obviously, as you can hear, I still need to do them more. But it's a really cool channel, and they, what they do is not only teach you how to speak, you know, differently to different genders, they also show you how to, the science behind it all, which was really fascinating. I mean, I won't lie, majority of it went over my head, but, you know, I'm not a sound major, so. But yeah, she definitely had some really good tips in there, which has helped me. So I'll put the link down there below for you guys to click if that's something you're interested in as well. And so let me know what you think, how I can improve my videos. And yeah, thank you for being cakes with me. If you like and subscribe my video, you can officially be cake as well. And every week I will try to pick somebody and put them up once I learn how to actually put things like here or there. I'll, do a little shout out for you, and you can be the cake of the week. So, yeah, thank you so much, and I'll see you next week.